I've always loved the Sega Genesis. It was the first major console that I owned growing up with the Game Boy Color. Ever since then, that iconic 6-button layout and classic D-pad have stuck with me. So here's the question. In 2025, what is the best modern Sega Genesis style controller? Today, I'm looking at 3 different controllers. The 8-bit Do M30, the RetroFighters D6 Wireless, and something a little unexpected, the Gulikit Elves Pro 2. They're all affordable, they're all portable, and they all promise to bring that Genesis-style DNA into the modern era. So the question is, which one is actually worth buying? Let's hop in and find out. Here's the quick breakdown. The Gulikit Elves Pro 2 cost me 40 Canadian from the official store. Shipping was quick and it showed up at my door within about a week from AliExpress. The RetroFighters D6 Wireless was sent over from RetroFighters, and it's a little pricier at about $49 US or about 69 to 70 Canadian. And finally, the 8-bit Do M30. The cheapest of the 3, sitting at around $35 Canadian. So a spread between $35 to $70, but as we'll see, prices don't always match quality. Let's start with the M30. This is the lightest controller out of the 3, and it sticks the closest to the Genesis style DNA. You got that authentic 6-button layout, and a classic Genesis style D-pad, all in a surprisingly durable plastic shell. I've had both of mine for years. The 2.4 GHz version that I use in my Genesis actually comes with that little wireless adapter. This one I've had for about a year. This M30 Bluetooth I think I've had for about maybe 2 years. Regardless, they both still look brand new, and that's a really good sign for long-term build quality. All the buttons use rubber membrane switches, which gives them a quiet, classic feeling. The D-pad has pretty good pivot, although it does bottom out more, like the original Genesis D-pad, which some people might appreciate. Overall, the M30 feels like the most faithful throwback controller here. It's small, cheap, and it works. I also like how they offer 2 different colorways, at least for the Bluetooth model. Next up is the RetroFighters D6 Wireless. Unlike the M30, the D6 doesn't try to be a one-to-one replica. Instead, it tries to modernize that formula. The controller is about the same size as the other 2, but it feels a little bit more substantial because of its weight distribution and the ergonomics. The standout here is the buttons. They're micro switches. That means extremely clicky feedback, almost like arcade buttons. If you love tactile, sharp inputs, the D6 absolutely nails that. Another interesting thing here is the D-pad is also micro switches, which eliminates accidental diagonals. You're very unlikely to get any false diagonals with this controller. The D-pad does protrude slightly more than the M30's recessed D-pad, which makes it feel a bit sharper in use. The trade-off here, it's loud. Personally, I like it. But if you're gaming in a cafe or late at night in a quiet room, this controller can get distracting pretty fast. Although still, as a modernized Genesis controller, the D6 makes a strong case. Now let's talk about the surprise contender, the Gulikit Elves Pro 2. My first impression when I picked this up was, wow, this is just $40? For 40 Canadian, it feels like a much more expensive controller. The plastics here are textured, not smooth, which means it resists fingerprints and actually feels very durable. It also has a nice weight to it. Not heavy, but absolutely solid. And the ergonomics here are excellent. It feels very comfortable to hold on to. It's a very compact style controller, but the curves make it feel more like a full-size controller when you have it in your hand. The face buttons use rubber membrane, like the M30, but they're quieter, and they're much more stable. There's a noticeable amount of less wobble to them, and they feel very premium. The D-pad is recessed, which keeps it pocket-friendly. It's not likely to snag in your bag. It's also extremely quiet, with really good pivot. Personally, I think this might be the best D-pad out of the three. Gulikit did an amazing job here. One area where we need to talk about this controller is with the extras. This is the only controller here with full-size Hall effect joysticks. And the good news about these joysticks? They're smooth, they're very accurate, and they come with some of the best anti-friction rings that I've ever seen. Gulikit has been putting these joysticks in some of their higher-end controllers. On top of that, the Elves Pro 2 includes both bumpers and full triggers. They are just digital triggers though, so keep that in mind. In practice, this is a full-size controller shrunk down to Genesis-style proportions. So how do they stack up in terms of build quality? Well, if I had to rank them, on the bottom I'd probably put the M30. Not because it's bad, far from it, but it's the cheapest and the lightest, and it feels the least premium. For the price, this is still a fantastic controller. The RetroFighters D6 Wireless feels sturdier, with high quality plastics and satisfying micro-switch style buttons. But that hollow sound when you tap the shell holds it back just a little bit. And at the top, the Gulikit Elves Pro 2. The textured plastic, the comfortable weight, and the premium controls make it feel like the most finished product here. All three are built extremely well, but the Gulikit clearly aimed higher than just retro nostalgia, and it really shows. In terms of connectivity, that's where these three controllers get really interesting. The 8-bit M30 comes in two different versions, a 2.4 GHz model that only works with the original Genesis. But you can also get a Bluetooth model for modern systems. In terms of PC compatibility, it only works on the Bluetooth model. The RetroFighters D6 Wireless supports Bluetooth and 2.4 GHz wireless, which makes it more flexible. It's easy to connect, although it's not the fastest. And then of course, you have the Gulikit Elves Pro 2. According to Gamepadla, this controller has some of the lowest Bluetooth latency ever measured, as low as 3.5 milliseconds. That's actually faster than a DualShock 4 or DualSense over Bluetooth. Over USB, this one gets even better, with only 1.85 milliseconds of input latency. That puts it in the same ballpark as competitive PC controllers. For a $40 controller, that's kind of astounding. The only downside to this one is it doesn't support 2.4 GHz input. But for Bluetooth, it's basically best in class. So how do they feel when actually gaming? Well, the M30 is perfect for emulation and original Genesis hardware. It feels extremely authentic, and it's small enough to toss into a bag. Whereas the RetroFighters D6 shines in fighting games and arcade-style titles. Those clicky micro switches give you lightning-fast precision. The Elves Pro 2 is the only one here with advanced features. Things like adjustable dead zones, different vibration modes, turbo functions, and even an APG macro mode that can literally record an entire level of gameplay and essentially replay it for you. That's overkill. Sure, but the options are there if you want them. In everyday use, the combination of full-size joysticks, low latency, and extremely comfortable ergonomics makes this the most versatile controller out of the bunch. It's the one I reach for most often when I'm gaming on the go now. So what's the best modern Genesis style controller? If you want authenticity and price, go with the 8-bit M30. It's faithful, it's affordable, and it just works. If you want clicky precision, especially for fighting games, then the RetroFighters D6 Wireless is excellent. It's a modern spin that keeps things tight and tactile. But if you want the best all-round portable controller, the one with the best build, lowest latency, and features that go beyond retro gaming, the clear winner here, the Gulikit Elves Pro 2. For $40 Canadian, this thing punches way above its weight class. So that's my pick, but what about you? Have you tried any of these controllers? Do you prefer authenticity, clicky precision, or modern versatility? Drop your comments down below. I'd love to hear what you're using and why. If you found this helpful, consider liking the video and subscribing for more deep dives into retro and modern gaming gear. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.